What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. I am Martin Beider, founder and CEO of Viber 360. We inspect infrastructure using drones. So we capture thousands of images, stitch them into a 3D model, and present that 3D model to our end client so they can see exactly what the situation is with the piece of infrastructure. So over the last couple of months, I have inspected over 170 cell towers across entire Bulgaria. When we started, I didn't even have a driver's license, so we drove with my grandfather. We explored Bulgaria in a really unique way. But most of all, I got some invaluable experience on how to capture pretty much every type of cell tower using drones. So how do you create a 3D model? How do you plan your flight route? How do you install your camera settings? How do you capture the most accurate model of a cell tower in order to present it to the client? So that is why I made this video today. I have prepared a couple of very high quality, very detailed 3D models we have created, and together with you, I will walk through the process. I will show you the exact image locations on the 3D model, and we will look at how to achieve the best results. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so here you can see that I have chosen one of the best 3D reconstructions of a cell tower, right? So you can see the location here. It is quite picturesque, but let's focus on the tower. Now, for this cell tower, I used one3D.ai to process, right? So this software is specifically built for processing cell towers. So obviously it's very good for that. And actually we partnered up with them to capture this tower, right? So when we go ahead and click on photos here, on images, you can see that these orange dots show exactly where every picture was taken, and they actually also indicate the direction. So this is mainly what we're gonna work with. I want to say in the beginning that I capture cell towers 100% manually. Now it depends what drone you have, but in general, I think that manual capture is better because you have more control, especially when you're flying so close to the antennas, where you often lose some connection, there's some interference. And if you plan an automated route, it can interrupt when the connection gets worse, right? So I capture entire manually. I use the DJI Matrice 4E drone, which is phenomenal at capturing very fast. So the fastest it can capture, the fastest interval is 0.5 seconds. So that means it goes 2 images a second, which means that in very little time, I can inspect a very large tower like this one. In fact, I think it took around 15 minutes to inspect this entire tower with a drone, which is super fast. So when we go inside the model here, first we can see that I've created an orbit from 10-15 meters away from the tower, right? So this orbit aims to capture the entire tower in the camera frame. So if we go ahead and click on one of the images, you can see, let me move the camera, you can see that the entire cell tower is in the frame. Similarly, when we go ahead and hit on the other photos, so in this way, we fly, we create an orbit, and we have already a rough 3D reconstruction of the tower. Now, I recommend you flying in a slower mode. I fly in tripod mode, but you can fly slower in order to capture more images. So after I have created the faraway orbit, I'm not stopping, I'm not interrupting the drone to capture. So the drone is continuing to capture 2 times a second, and I'm slowly moving toward the tower. I'm moving closer to the tower. You can see these images basically enable to keep the photos consistent and not to create gaps between the image locations, right? So then we go in, and now you can see now I have done this orbit, which is maybe 5 meters away from the tower, significantly closer now. And let's take a look at the images. You basically have the camera that tilts maybe 30 or 40 degrees down. It also captures the entire cell tower, but just more from above, right? So in this way, we get even more detailed, an even more detailed impression of the cell tower. After that, we move very close to the tower. And this is also why I like to capture manually, because you have more control and you can move much closer to the cell tower. So let's see here. Now we also have the entire cell tower, but we're focusing mainly on the the antennas on the top of the tower. We create one more orbit, right? Very consistent photos again, you can see. And then we move gradually, we move down. This orbit is now less tilted. While the previous one, this was maybe 60 to 90 degrees tilted down. The next orbit is maybe 20 or 30 degrees tilted down. So we get the antennas from every angle, right? And you can see when we zoom in on the image, now we are very close and we really capture all the details, all the bolts, and all the equipment. Let's move down. So basically capturing a cell tower is just orbiting, a lot of orbits. Now, when we zoom in here, we can see another orbit, which we have done. And you can see, as you can see, I have tilted the camera slightly up. This is crucial for capturing the under part of the antennas. So many drone pilots miss this step, and they just capture orbits with the camera tilted downwards. But it is actually also very important to get the slight 5-degree tilt upward. You can see on the images here, you get exactly how the cables are connected to the antenna itself. We create one more orbit like that and move on to the next one. You can see at almost the same altitude, I am creating a new orbit, but now the camera tilts down toward the next section of equipment. So generally just where you see antennas, and if you see additional equipment, make an orbit there. It is important to capture every detail. You can see this orbit is tilted down around 15-20 degrees, I would say, and it captures the lower section. Yes. So now we've captured that. Now we go even lower and capture this antenna. So sometimes, as you can see here, on this part here next to the round antenna, I haven't tilted the camera up. I haven't done an orbit where I tilt the camera 5 degrees upward, simply because you don't have so important details. See, you can see the details anyway. We go down to the next antenna, next orbit, and then you can see again at the bottom of the antennas, we are again pointing, practically we're pointing the 0 degrees straight, sometimes a couple of degrees tilted up. Next section, we capture with the camera tilted down again. Here, and you can see with this orbit, you can see the arrows are pointing quite a lot upward, and you get these crucial images which capture exactly the state of the underpart of the antennas. And yeah, that's basically the path you need to do. As you can see here underneath, I haven't emphasized so much on that. I haven't done many more orbits, simply because you don't have any antennas there. The steel construction is in good quality. It's in the same quality as further up in the antenna. So really the important thing is to capture the antennas in good detail. When you're done with the photogrammetric capture, it depends on what the client requirements are. But for us, we have some requirements. We have a virtual tour we need to capture inside of this house. Now, in this video, I'm only emphasizing on drone capture, drone inspections. So if you want, we can go through the virtual tour after that. But we also create a panorama. So after we have captured thousands of or maybe 1,000 images of this tower, we create a 360-degree panorama with the drone a bit from a distance of the tower, so the infrastructure owner can see and assess exactly where the tower is located, depending on other towers. Maybe you can zoom in and check out if there's other towers, and it gives you a very good spatial impression of the area, right? So that was it. After that, of course, you upload all the photos into 1-3D, for example, or other photogrammetry softwares, and then you will be able to achieve very good results. In general, cell towers are not hard to capture, but one very important thing to hold in mind is that you should never ever zoom in with your camera. So you should never ever use your drone to digitally zoom in and capture details from the antennas, because then the 3D processing software gets completely confused, because it thinks that the drone is closer than it actually was in reality. So generally, cell towers are not complicated structures to map with a drone if you get it right. The real detail is just to make sure you get a very consistent overlap. If you can, then use RTK. I know it will interrupt when you're flying very close and straight toward the antennas, but when you're flying a bit further away, it is very helpful. So if you have RTK connection, always try to use that. And yeah, most important thing, remember to tilt slightly up, so 5 degrees up under the antennas. This takes you to a new, much more professional level where you can achieve much better results, which will then be very helpful for the client. So if you like the video, I would love to hear in the comments. And that was it for today's video. Thank you very much and see you soon.